let's get it going. Just as soon as this game gets set up, we're we may have jumped the gun just a little bit there, but we're
so there's one thing to note is that both these decks have access to both Hydroblast and Pyroblast, which means we could see some. Those are 1-mana counterspells. So Hydroblast counters red spells or destroys red permanents. Pyroblast does the same for blue spells. They're both 1 mana of their respective color. So Hydroblast blue, Pyroblast.
Notable too that while we don't see them here just now, red Elemental Blast and blue Elemental Blast are now legal in Pauper. Isn't that amazing? Finally.
Also, one thing to note is that while Forkbolt is not legal on Magic Online for various reasons right now, if people do choose to run Forkbolt in their deck, what we're going to do is we're going to just let them play that. We'll do some things on the back end so they can, because we want you to be able to play these decks at your local game store, at your newly sanctioned Pauper events. But with these spells, Pyroblast and Hydroblast, you might get into these situations where they are trying to figure out what's the right number of counterspells to side in. The big thing is that Andreas has access to Dispel, and Dispel is quite good against the cards in Evan's deck.
All right.
Looks like we're ready.
Yep, here we are. Oh, we've already gone right into it here. Unfortunately, if you're familiar with like the Super Leagues and a lot of those formats and everything, a lot of times they would sit there, kind of resolve their mulligans a little bit, and then we'd get going a little.
So it looks like the players are flipped. Andreas was on the play, led off with Flayer Husk. And Evan just leads off with an island. Looks like he's going to cycle this Ash Barrens, a red. Andreas has one of those starts that looks like 2 Springleaf Drums into Frogmite. And is this a Myr Enforcer on turn 2?
It is. It is absolutely a Myr Enforcer.
Galvanic Blast backup. This might be a quick game.
Yeah, this might be very fast. Evan has a bit of a shot here. It's going to take him a little bit to set up, which he unfortunately may not have the time to really,
this is a blink and you miss it.
Pretty much. So here's what we're going to have to see. We're probably going to have to see, if I had to take a guess,
Andreas, Evan probably needs to lightning bolt the Frogmite just to take another artifact off the board. Then needs to go runner. He has a land, so he needs to draw another land to take out, to be able to resolve that Skred, it looks like. Skred is one red. He's Skredding
the Frogmite. That's an interesting play.
So Delver in hand, that was the draw. Gearseeker Serpent is...
Gearseeker Serpent, here we go.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, that is a turn 3 Gearseeker. I think that's just the play because it is. Evan went through one of his Skreds and that's 2 lightning bolts.
Yeah, this is going to be really tough to come back from for Evan at this point. This is probably just going to be a very quick. This is one of the godly draws that we see from Affinity.
Yeah, then this is why you play the deck. You play the deck to spit out Andreas has 10 power on turn 3. And if Evan did not, Andreas would have 12 power.
Yep.
And Evan is effectively at 16 life, 15 life.
Yep.
Because of that Galvanic Blast. So what is Evan really looking to draw here? I think Andreas just Gal blasted the Delver.
And Andreas just found
Thoughtcast.
Like, oof.
Into another Gearseeker, sure.
But he cannot play that this turn.
But so he's cracking in for 10. Yeah, that. Would you get rid of the Flayer Husk token there? The germ token?
At this point, yeah. I think I would. Because at this point, Andreas is just looking to go for he's not even hesitating. He's not thinking about it. I want to go in. I want to kill.
Yeah. Oh, there's the Skred, and it does absolutely nothing here.
Yeah.
Evan can play 2 blockers.
Yes, he can. And
actually, do you just play out the Miscreant and then maybe flash in just in case Andreas tries to Galvanic?
You want to hold it just in case, like a Galvanic Blast or something. But
makes sense. Galvanic is short for Galvanic Blast.
And Galvanic Blast, for those who don't know, we saw it briefly there earlier. It is 2 damage to target creature or player for a 1 red. And oh man,
this is interesting.
This is.
No, I think. Yeah, Evan has to block.
Play here. Evan definitely has to block,
and he loses because Fling. Unless Andreas played it correctly, is going for Fling after damage resolves. The only thing that stops Fling is a card that is not in Evan's hand. So it looks like we're going to game 2. Andreas is checking Evan's deck list just to make sure.
Looks like
there's no Dispel main.
Very minor technical things going on here, guys. Just as we're setting, trying to fix up the
Andreas
hand layout here real
for
fast. Wow,
that's patience.
Yeah,
and that's why he's a much better player than I am, and why I'm not looking forward to playing him twice this season.
It's gonna be a fun time. I'm very excited to see what happens.
I mean, okay, we're going to game 2. That seemed pretty quick.
All right.
So Evan's going to be on the plate. So what do you think Evan is looking to bring in?
So let me bring up their lists here really fast. We've got so I think Evan has a Echoing Truth, 2 Curfew, 2 Electrickery, 2 Fire and Ice, 2 Gorilla Shaman, 3 Hydroblast, and 3 Pyroblast.
So do you take? I think you take out Fire Ice. I think that card is really bad here.
Absolutely, it's a great card, but in this particular matchup, it's actually not that great.
Yeah. You bring in the Gorilla Shaman.
Absolutely, you absolutely 100% bring in the Gorilla Shamans. I think you maybe would cut 2 copies of Ninja.
Maybe. I don't know. So what's your stance on cutting Delver? I know that's a really popular thing that people do sometimes in Delver mirrors, is this idea of cutting Delver. Well, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't like that here quite as much. Yeah. And the reason that I don't is because a lot of times Affinity will just stonewall you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they'll stonewall you with the 2/2s, the 4/4s, even just in the Atog, stacking 1 artifact at a time or something. So you want those ways to kind of go over their head for real damage.
So just so you know, it looks like Andreas cited out Springleaf Drum, 2 Metallic Rebuke, and looked like 2 Flings for his 3 copies of Pyroblast and 2 Electrickery.
Excellent.
I didn't see what Evan ended up citing.
Yeah, it looks like
looks like he cited an Echoing Truth, and Andreas had a decent draw in Mulligan. So Affinity has hugely benefited from the London Mulligan, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And this hand looks great.
One of the problems with the Affinity deck previously is, as you may have noticed before, it only runs 17 land. A lot of Pauper decks do that. They run a very low number of lands.
I'm running 17 lands.
Exactly. I run 13 when I usually play elves. You may know, you all know me as the elf queen, so to speak. So
we're off.
Affinity greatly benefited from the London Mulligan because it was able to find the lands that it actually needed, make sure that you weren't just stuck on 1 land, or you weren't stuck on like we saw here. Andreas had 2 Seated Synods, the blue sources, and didn't have any way of filtering that mana or anything else. So the London Mulligan really helped Affinity because you could just put back whatever kind of the worst card for your specific situation is.
So this looks really well set. Oh, that was smart. So this looked really well set up for Evan if Andreas led on Springleaf Drum, but because he leads on Prophetic Prism, Evan is not able to do anything with those Spellstutter Sprites. So it looks like Evan's just going to be able to go fetch a mountain. No, he's going. Would you have cast Sprite there to get the ninja hidden?
Probably, given.
I mean, The problem is that
yeah, I probably would have. Now I'm looking at it and thinking about it again.
Oh well, no, that
paid off here.
Kind of. It looks like he has a backup drum.
Yeah, there's also the Great Furnace too that still has yet to come down. So we're gonna see a Myr Enforcer here for 1 mana. Unfortunately for Andreas, that does mean though that he does not get any of the Carapace Forgers down. So that does benefit Evan a bit here. But we'll have to see what continues to happen. Obviously, yeah.
You have to go for Ninja here. It's your best play.
I would not actually go for Ninja myself. But I think there's a case for either one.
Andreas bluffing the Galvanic Blast. Yeah. So the reason I think you go for Ninja is because you have Echoing Truth. And so what you can do is then, well, he doesn't know this, but whatever Andreas puts out, you can just bounce back. And, if it is a Carapace Forger, you can counter it on the way back down potentially. Exactly. So this puts you up a card. And
you got a Preordain too.
That's a pretty good one, but I wouldn't cast it here.
No.
Looks like the hands are now lined up. So, yeah, that's a pretty tough draw for Andreas. He is going to be able to get out probably both Carapace Forgers.
Yes.
That's much better. Again, Galvanic Blast, just such a good card. It can end games. It deals with just about every threat that people play.
Yeah.
But are we seeing? Yeah. Okay. So we have a game now.
Yeah.
Because now Evan can bounce those back. It's going to be harder for Andreas to cast them because he doesn't have the star anymore. So now we have a little bit of a game. I still think Andreas is advantage though.
No, Evan.
Oh, Evan. Oh no.
Oh no. Like Top 10 picks before disaster.
Do you think Evan did that so he could? So do you think Evan did that so he could Echoing Truth on his turn and then have 2 sprites up and then potentially get through with Ninja?
There we go. So actually, this is funny enough. It's actually going to kind of work out in Evan's favor a little bit.
He made a pure tempo play.
Yeah.
I still think it's going to work out in the end because what's going to end up happening is he's going to try to counter one of the Forgers, and it's just going to end up being blasted, and Evan's going to be a sad panda.
Mm-hmm. There is, however, a second Echoing Truth here in Evan's hand.
And a third Carapace Forger.
Oh, wow. What?
But you can cast 2. Okay. Yep, sad panda time. And I think this is just, I think it's the right play. I think you have to risk it because otherwise another one's coming. What Evan doesn't know is that there's another one.
Yeah. But it looks like we just had some minor technical difficulties there with the hand. That's why it looked like the Echoing Truth was still there when it actually wasn't.
But there is a second Ninja. So
second Ninja is very spicy here.
What's the draw?
Hard for us to see right now. Looks like we're...
Okay.
All right, we just got word in. We're working on those technical difficulties with that hand, but meantime, we still got our game going on here.
So it looks like Evan drew a Skred, take care of one of the Carapace Forgers, which is pretty good. But I think the play there is actually Skred Myr Enforcer because you want to get as many artifacts off the table so Atog isn't as dead.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also because it's easier to Spellstutter Sprite those Carapace Forger. Not that you're going to do it, but it's easier. So Evan just got in for 4 damage and 2 cards. So that he's going to go down to 4, and that Electrickery isn't very good right now.
No.
But I'm not sure. Andreas has so many live draws. Fling, Galvanic Blast, all of that is live.
Yeah, there's just so many plays that could possibly come about from here.
Yeah.
And thankfully for Evan, he was able to actually get a draw in.
Is that Augur?
We got an Augur.
Okay.
I feel
Augur's
like
pretty good here.
Would have wanted to go in, maybe pay the mana a little bit differently. It mostly depends on what Evan's hand looks like.
Well, it looks like a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah, unfortunately.
I mean, Evan can block, and because it looked like he had Evolving Wilds, Ash Barrens, Pyroblast, and Spellstutter Sprite, which
correct.
is not a whole lot right now. So yeah, and even if Andreas draws Galblast, that's game, because he can Galblast, Evan Sprites back, and then the Electrickery does it in. So
right. The other thing, if I was in Evan's spot, what I probably would do. Now again, this is assuming we're sitting here from the vantage point that we have perfect information.
What? No.
Evan obviously doesn't.
Yeah.
So if I were in Evan's shoes, what I would probably actually do is drop the Spellstutter Sprite. Try, which is what he's doing.
Okay.
And try and set up a block where Evan can then double block the Myr Enforcer with the ninjas.
Yeah.
And then chump block the other two creatures.
That makes sense. And
it doesn't put him in an ideal state by any stretch of the imagination, but it's about where you want to be.
So now Evan has to triple chump.
Yeah, so that's probably going to be it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and I saw someone mention this in the chat, Evan's list doesn't run Swirling Sandstorm in the sideboard.
So what is Swirling Sandstorm?
Swirling Sandstorm is it has threshold, and which is if you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard, threshold is active. And if
looks like Evan saw the writings on the wall, and that's game. So
that's going to be it.
So what Swirling Sandstorm does is that it deals 5 damage to all creatures without flying if you have threshold, 3 in a red. Kendra, what does it do if you don't have threshold?
Nothing. And for those playing at home, if you have 6 cards in your graveyard and you cast a Swirling Sandstorm, it does nothing.
So looks.
All right. So. All right. 1 second.
Okay.
All right.
So looks like before we get to me playing Michael, which is me on Goblins versus Black-White Pestilence, we're going to have to restart the stream, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a short break and some ads. So we'll see y'all in a few minutes. Thanks.